You're watching the Sporting Time Show with host Doug Thompson. Sponsored by Jewelry Barn and Pawn Shop.
Good evening and welcome to the Sporting Times. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday night in November. And of course, I got to introduce my co-host. I can't even say cameo anymore because this is his fourth appearance. Brian Davis from WFKN, right? Four. That's amazing.
Like the Four Horsemen.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for coming back. I mean, that makes me feel kind of good.
It's fun. It's always fun to be here.
It's always bad when you come once and I ask you to come back and you're like, can't. That's a good sign. So we're in November.
Yes.
And Thanksgiving is just, 3 weeks away?
3 weeks away. Yes.
Have you gotten your turkey yet?
No. Still a little too early.
Okay.
A little early.
Frozen or not frozen?
No, frozen.
Frozen?
Got to get it
Okay.
frozen.
All right, I
let
like
it
that.
thaw for a couple days and then boom.
Butterball or generic?
Butterball.
I like that.
Butterball.
Yes.
Butterball.
Yes, we are on the same page there.
Yep.
So welcome, and we are in high school playoff mode right now. A lot of exciting things going on. Of course, we got to be careful because of when we tape and when we air. So, But you can watch Bowling Green football. You can watch Greenwood football, depending on the advancement, on stfanclub.com /live. You can go back and look at you can look back the entire season archived on demand for free, or you can watch it on Fubo or Amazon Fire TV. Download the app, or Facebook Live. And I know you like Facebook Live.
Facebook Live is great. And you get what? Hollywood Joe Bronk.
Yes, that's right.
That's our guy.
You do. And also you can hear Brent Thompson,
Okay.
who can keep it going.
Good deal.
You know, I got to work with Brent for a few weeks during the regular season. And then the next thing I know, I didn't get an invite back. So anyway, but he's top-notch. Joe Bronk's top-notch. You're top-notch. You got a radio show in Franklin.
Yes.
And do you do it online? Can people hear it online?
You can go to www.franklinfavorite.com. In the blue toolbar at the far right, click on the link that says WFKN. Then you'll see a tab that says WFKN News. Click on that and press the play button, and you can hear me via the World Wide Web.
Wow. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I remember I was on the show a few years ago, right after the Farm Report, and it was great. It's a great show, very entertaining. Glad you're here today. But with football, we also have basketball going on. And earlier today, we had the Paul Gray Prep Sports Girls Basketball Media Day, 17 teams. It was absolutely fantastic, Brian. And if you didn't watch it live, you can go back again, the other areas that I told you, and you could watch it on demand. Next week on the 13th, we're going to have the Boys Basketball Media Day. I mean, you've attended for several years.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. Normally with the girls, they're a little more chatty.
Yes, they are.
They're willing to more talk a little more. They're willing to have some fun with the coaches. The boys, a little more subdued, a little more maintained. Stoic, I guess you could say like that. Kind of focused and dialed in. But the girls, they're pretty loose. They cut it loose and they have a good time with it. So media day is always fun and it's always get a great perspective and their thoughts as we're heading into the season.
Yeah, and you know, I think this is our 6th year of hosting the media day, and we do 6. We do the football, basketball, boys and girls. We also do volleyball, which we will have back next year.
Great.
And then baseball, softball. So it's a lot of fun. What I like about it gives student athletes an opportunity to be on a stage and to answer questions.
Yep.
And it's fun to watch, and man, they're really smart. They're really good answers. And that's what I enjoy, just watching them navigate questions from, different platforms of media. You have TV, you have newspaper, you have radio.
Yes.
So it's a lot of fun.
It's always it's a big event, and you definitely need to tune in and watch it.
Yeah, so next Saturday you can tune in to watch the boys basketball media day, the Paul Gray Prep Sports, and you got to watch it. It is going to be an unbelievable year for boys basketball. Girls right now, you've got to give the nod to the Bowling Green Lady Purples. They returned everybody, and they are going to be extremely tough. but they're going to be challenged. But the boys, we got about 30 seconds, Brian. It's going to be wide open.
Yeah, Bowling Green Girls got an addition as well too, so that's going to make them probably the heavy favorite, the team to beat. The boys, wow, Greenwood, Bowling Green, Warren Central, and then a Russellville team, which brings everybody back. And in addition, that is going to be a dangerous team as well too. Barron County, Franklin Simpson as well too.
I can't believe you stiffed my team Greenwood. But anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, more with Brian Davis, my guest, Jeff Garman, the head coach of the Glasgow Scotties. Stay tuned. More of the Sporting Times right here on WNKY NBC 40. Welcome back to the show. Well, my guest today has been at Glasgow High School football program for 11 seasons, in his 7th season as the head coach of the Glasgow Scotties. One of my favorite coaches, I can say that. Jeff Garman, welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you.
You know, first of all, we're in the postseason, having a great season. How's everybody feeling? I know you had some injuries early on, but how's the team doing overall?
Yeah, we've been bit with the injury bug a little bit here at the end, and you know, as of right now, you know, we've got a couple of key players out. So I mean, it's something everybody goes through, and it's something that you just gotta continue to go. You got to push forward, and you know. Guys have to step up and take people's place. That's just the way it is.
Well, I mean, Coach, look at you. You are always in the same conversation at the beginning of the preseason. Who is going to be one of those teams that are going to be a contender? Glasgow always seems to be in that conversation. I had the opportunity to see you play earlier this season, Coach, and I got to tell you, you used to be a 2A program, you're a 3A program now, but the physicality of this team and the size of this team is incredible. Just talk about the tradition for a second, because you definitely have it.
We've got some really good players, and with good players, you know, you will end up there in the conversations of being one of the top teams. It usually works for us. You know, we don't get a lot of notoriety at the very beginning, but as it plays out every year, you know, we end up being there in the end. And that's the great thing about this team this year. We've gotten better each week, and we've gotten our play has gotten better each week, and now we're playing pretty good football. We're just short a couple of players that you know that we had at the beginning of the year.
So with success comes a lot of things, Coach, and one of them is interest in the program. Now, you've been there 11 seasons, 7 seasons as the head coach. Have you seen, you know, kids that are in school coming up to you saying, hey, Coach, I want to play for you, and because of the success, have you seen more of that happening?
Yeah, at the beginning, we kind of did. Now, I mean, we're in pretty good place. I think we've got a really good our middle school has been stable the last 4 years or so with the same coaches. And I think that makes a big difference. And I think, you know, we're getting most of the kids out at the beginning of their career, as opposed to some of them maybe coming in later on. But, you know, we're for a 3A program, and we're on the small end of 3A. You know, we're going to run between 50 and 60 players. And, you know, we've had years where it's been right at 60, and you know, right now we're flirting right around 52, 53.
Well, what's amazing though is if somebody saw your team play and they didn't know the class system in Kentucky, I'm not sure that they would guess that you were a 3A program because of the size and honestly the physicality of your team. I mean, again, I got to see you play, and I was blown away with not only the defense and the offensive line, but the way that your running backs attacked once they had the ball.
You know, that's by design. That's how we practice. That's how we play. And that's kind of been our mantra the whole time that I've been here, that, you know, even when Coach Wood was here, I mean, we're going to play physical football and try to get over on the other team and play as physical as we possibly can.
Well, you know, when Coach Wood was there, you know, he always kept the playbook in his back pocket. He didn't wear headsets, any of that. Do you wear a headset? I mean, are you a little bit more advanced than Coach Wood?
No, I'm not more advanced than Coach Wood, sorry to say. I'm still really old school in the fact of how we do things and how we do a lot of things. I see some of these teams pull up and they've got enough equipment that Western carries around. It's amazing to me. And we just haven't got into that. Ours is about getting out, hitting each other every day, be physical, and try to survive at the end of the year.
I love that. I really, really do. I mean, it's honestly blocking, tackling, being good at what you do. We're going to take a short break, Coach. Stay tuned. More of the Sporting Times with Coach Garman right here on WNKY NBC 40. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Jeff Garman, the head coach of the Glasgow Scotties, as my guest today. And Coach, you went from the spread to the wing tee. You also have a coach, the offensive coordinator, who's pretty well known in this area, John Myers. Kind of talk about that transition of going from the spread to the wing tee and kind of what the thought process was behind that.
Well, I mean, part of it was we had some injuries, but I looked at our personnel, and our personnel, that's what kind of showed what type of team we wanted to be. And, you know, at Glasgow, we've always had speed here. Yep. And I was wanting to get our speed involved with the spread. It's more inside runs. With the wing tee, you can go inside, you can go outside. You've got play action passing. And then we put some spread concepts into that. So now it's kind of a total package of everything that we can kind of put together.
And interesting that your guys, I mean, this is something you didn't institute at the beginning of the season, right? I mean, you kind of did this during the season, and they were able to accept it.
Last year, we instituted it in about week 6, and then from there, we've kind of carried it all year long and kept some spread concepts in it this year. You know, the big thing is I think you just have to look at your personnel and see what's best for each team. And what's crazy is that wing tee's been around for a long time, and it's almost now it's so old that it's new. A lot of coaches that just got into it, and then the last 10 years, you know, a lot of defenses are made to stop the spread. Yeah. And it can cause problems for people now.
Especially with the speed that you have, Coach. I got to ask you, I would love to be in the locker room before a playoff game. What do you say to the guys, or do you change anything that you do as far as getting these guys prepared for playoffs? I mean, I'm interested to find out kind of how you do that.
Well, to me, it's a fun time of the year because there's a lot of good games, and it also is a sad time. For me, it is. I mean, personally, where you've watched these kids grow up for 4 years in your program, and it's like I tell our seniors every day, you're on the clock. You've only got so many days, hours, weeks left, and I know it's all going to come to an end, and I want it to keep going and going because I thoroughly enjoy watching these kids play every day, play each week, just watching them grow up. And there's a finality kind of to it all now because we're getting close to the end. And, you know, and it kind of makes me sad, to be honest with you, because I'd like for it to keep going and going and going. But don't do a whole lot of things different. Kind of stick with our plan that we go with, and just kind of go from there. But it becomes a little more emotionally charged, I think, when you get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think, the players respond to you, Coach, because of your passion and your commitment. I think that's why you're so successful, because the players know where you're coming from. And I think that's I think that is pure football. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Now I got to ask you, Coach. We've got about a minute and a half. Are you in favor of the way that they reshuffle the deck after the first round of a playoff game based on the RPI versus the old way where you had a bracket and you played it out? It drives me crazy.
It does me too, to a certain extent. And, I think what bothers me about the RPI is geographically, if you're around Louisville or Lexington, you have the opportunity to play bigger schools. And, there's only so many 6A schools around here, only so many 5A schools, 4A schools for us to play up against. And I think that's kind of gives some people that live on the outskirts of Louisville and Lexington a little more of an advantage than a school like in this area right here. Yeah. But it's the formula they put out there, and that's the one we go with, and we try to do the best we can. We try to put a competitive schedule out there where we're playing up a lot in higher classes to try to improve our RPI. And so far, we're sitting at the top. It's going to come down close at the very end between us, Bardstown, and Louisville Christian Academy. And
well, Coach, I hate to cut you off, but we're at a hard break. But listen, I want to thank you very much. You always punch up. Great having you on the show. You know where I think you're going to end up at the end of the season. Good luck the rest of the season. We're going to take a short break. Brian Davis and I will wrap things up right here on WNKY NBC 40. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Thank you, Coach Garman, for being my guest today. And also, Brian, I got to apologize. Production told me that you did mention Greenwood. So I just didn't hear it.
I had to roll through it pretty quick. You said 30 seconds. You said 30 seconds.
You did very good. Let's talk about Coach Garman for a second. Sure. Coach Wood was the head coach at Glasgow. He also was a very successful coach at Warren Central.
Yes, he was, yes.
Coach Garman was his assistant for many, many years. But listening to Coach Garman talk about his players and the way that he approaches it and the way that it's kind of a sad time for him in a way, bittersweet, that guys that he has seen grow up in the program as freshmen or maybe eighth graders, you can tell he really connects with his players.
All the coaches are like father figures to their players. And so it is, you watch them come up as eighth graders, freshmen, and sophomores and juniors and seniors, and you got to see them go. I like the way that his team adapted. And I'm going back to last season. He had a rash of injuries, and then in mid-season, he talked about that in your segment, that he had to change the offense. Not easy to do in the middle of the season to go from a spread offense and change it around to a wing T. And by doing that, that made their offense even significantly better.
It's the fact that the team can switch on a dime like that.
Yes.
Now, he's got John Myers, previous head coach of Russellville.
Yes.
Very, very successful coach at Russellville, is now his offensive coordinator. And Coach Myers had a connection with his players as well. Mm-hmm. And you're right, Brian. Coaches, not only just in football, but in any sport, high school student athletes, when they're young and they start, very impressionable. And they get a lot of great direction from coaches. What my coach did for me, I may not have realized it when I was in high school. I did, though, years later, what he meant to me. And I know that you played football as well. And it's just a really special time in a high school student athlete's time to go through learning about more than just the sport.
Coaches, you can go to a coach at any time and you can talk about anything pretty much, like things going on in school, if you got things going on at home, just things in general, and they'll sit there and listen, and give you some great advice. And they are, like I said, they are like, motherly and fatherly figures, because there's women's coaches too. Sorry about that. But they are pretty much parental figures, and they are definitely someone you can definitely lean on as a resource.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that coaching has changed. when I played, the coach just coached.
Right.
That's all he did. He didn't have to worry about anything else. Today, coaches, they are way more involved in so many other aspects of a student athlete's life, and they have to deal with so much more. They got to deal with social media, right? I mean, that was it. So have so much respect for coaches today and what they're able to do, and it was great to have Coach Garman on here. Now, I do want to ask you before we bid a farewell. They did the Julian Shuffle of the RPIs.
The Jules Jumble.
Yes, Coach Garman did address it a little bit. He understood. Look, he said we'll just play anybody, but they punch up anyway. Again, the shuffle has been done. I take it you're not a big fan of that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not going to give my personal view on that because we could do it for like hours on end. But my thing is, I like the old system better where you had everybody in a bracket and just line them up and just play. We don't need to reshuffle after the quarterfinal, semifinal round because of RPI and strict the schedule. I know they want to eliminate travel, but it still doesn't work because you're still traveling to long distances for playoff games.
Yeah, I'm in your camp because I think when you get to the quarters and the semis, if you're that far into the playoffs, I think a team is willing to travel wherever they need to go in the state of Kentucky to have an opportunity to either get to the semis or win that semifinals game and get to Lexington and play in the championship game. You mentioned earlier, I think it was last week, that we have an opportunity to have teams, 3 teams in the state playoffs. We didn't mention Metcalfe County in Class 2A. Boy, the Harbison teams have really done well this year. We got to keep an eye on them.
You definitely got to.
But it's going to be super exciting, super finish. We got about 20 seconds. Your thoughts?
It's football time. This is it. It's the thinning of the herd, as they said in Friday Night Lights. I mean, win or go home. If you win, you get advanced. You go home on to basketball season. So that's it.
It's going to be great. Remember, basketball, stfanclub.com. Thank you very much, Brian, for being my co-host again. Thank you very much for tuning in. For Doug Thompson, Brian Davis, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Good night.